Hey everybody, welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season, and this is the first week of this season, and I have with me returning comic artist Tristan Thompson slash Tristarr, which is a much cooler name than Tristan Thomas. It's way cooler. I don't
Well,
like when
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have to do what I can to differentiate myself from the basketball player because he makes a lot of bad decisions, and I need to make sure that I'm above that, or like at least people can have the different name.
So I always get confused because I order through previews, and then I see TriStar on a bunch of stuff, and then I see Thompson on another, and then I think, oh, that's the same guy. It's just like the worst. And I really think that Zenescope should just put the TriStar there.
Yeah, it depends on the publisher. Merc uses the moniker, and then Zenescope, they never even asked. Like, even my email address that I use for correspondence with them is tristar.art, but I think maybe they just prefer to put the full name on there. But like, I don't. I want people to know both, obviously, but I think TriStar kind of sticks better. It's just a short, like Art Journal, something like that.
It's more space oriented.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's definitely the vibe I was going for.
No. Obviously, we're joking here, but you've been pretty much back, and you've been killing it the last year.
Thanks. It's been a very busy year.
And then you got some awesome stuff that's been going on. And obviously, you know that I'm joking with you, but I really do like your covers. You have a bunch of them. You make me spend more money than I want to. It's a problem. And then I get yelled at by my mom, which is even better. And then she's like, but I do like that cover. So it all works out in the end.
Justified, yeah.
It's also good because I have a job now, so it's all right.
Okay, yeah. So you're in a better position than last year then.
Way better. I didn't have to go turn tricks in the street. Your career and my career are clearly going downhill after this interview. But anyhow, all jokes aside, obviously you've been doing a boatload of cover work and a bunch of other stuff. And, I think you're a very interesting breed of an artist. But before, we really get into the Merc stuff and the Zenescope stuff, I do want to catch everybody up on who you are, because you're not the basketball player. And you've done a lot of cool stuff before comics, a lot of cool stuff. And I think you were involved in some basketball stuff and very prominent stuff. And I don't want to say too much because I think it'll be better coming from you.
Okay.
So catch everybody up on who you are.
So yeah, I've been professional now for, I guess my first cover came out in 21, so it's been about a year and a half, because that came out in June. It was the Red Sonja and the Vampirella, which I believe you showed them the last time I was here.
I did.
And then before that, I was an illustrator I worked for an agency, which we had a lot of high profile clients. I did Harley Davidson's The Screaming Eagle portion of it, and then Kobe Bryant.
That's the one. That's the one.
I figured you would probably pull some of that up. Let's see what else. The National Hot Rod Association, that was a big client of ours. So a lot of I learned a lot about racing. Like I don't follow like drag racing or anything like that, but I learned a lot about it. So like the top fuel cars and like funny cars, and then like just all that encompass the NHRA encompass, and then along with Colts, Pacers, a lot of basketball stuff. And then some miscellaneous racing things too.
The reason why I bring all this up is that you came into comics almost in the second leg of your career, which is super, super interesting, because when you're doing stuff for high clients and sports and all that stuff has a different caliber. And then when you come into comics, you're bringing all of that caliber in. And that's what makes you such a unique artist. You're very much like Ivan Tao, I feel, where Ivan Tao with Zenescope is that he is a different caliber. And the fact that, Ivan Tao now has a few exclusives with them. He has a few showcases, but you're not a traditional or regular at Zenescope. Neither is Ivan Tao. And that's what makes your cover so cool. And then you have that caliber. And that's what I really like about you. So when you're getting a TriStarr cover, it does carry a different level of weight.
Oh, thank you.
And then because, you see a bunch of the same guys over and over and over again at Zenescope. And I haven't seen your comic cover for a while, for almost 6 months. I didn't see one.
From Zenescope?
Yeah,
It's
you only had
strange because like I've been doing a cover for them about every month, but they don't release those covers every month. So usually when I get one done, they're maybe like 3 months behind on that. So whenever I get it done, I don't see that cover published till maybe 3 months later. And sometimes they'll release like two of them right at a time, and then it might be a few months. But like, I mean, I've been working consistently with them this whole year. I've probably done like, I don't know, close to a dozen covers for them.
Yeah, no, it's weird because I haven't seen them pop up, and I go through previews, and I know that just recently, like 3 books came up in the same month in previews, and I'm like, fuck.
Which ones were they? I think one of them was the Myths and Legends.
So I know this one came up in previews just
Okay,
recently,
yeah, that was the Oz cover.
which I
When did
like.
that come out? In September? Because I did that one earlier this year.
Yeah. September, maybe even October. I know that one came up. I know that I just got this one in the mail. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
got this one in the
that was
mail,
an earlier this year cover, but
and then this is the one that I call its sister
mhm.
because this one and this one are very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I see that. Maybe I'm not sure what. Maybe just their poses, the way like they're kind of centered in the middle, but I
Oh, I
think those.
love it. I love it. Don't think
Oh
that
no,
that's
and yeah,
I
I
love
do
it.
too. Actually, this one, the Grim Fairy Tales, um, Dave Franchini, he said that was his favorite one of mine. So whenever I got that done, and I agree. Like I think it is one of my favorites that I've done of theirs.
So let's even talk about this one because what I like about this one is that it's got like she's popping on it. It has depth. Sometimes a Zenescope cover doesn't have depth, and
Hmm.
that's an issue. And sometimes they have a lot of depth. Michael D. Pascal does really good job with depth in his covers and his background
Hmm.
because she is really, I feel like, sort of popping off the cover. And then we got the castle in the back, and I could tell there's space in
Hmm.
between. And that's what I really like about this cover is that I could tell it's space in between. She also looks fierce
Hmm.
and she's not over sexualized, which Zenescope tends to do. Not complaining, not complaining.
Yeah,
Want to make that crystal clear.
yeah. I mean, it's what you get when you buy Zenescope.
And so what is this like? Because it really is a nice cover because it's the right balance. I feel where if my mom sees this or if my sister sees this, they're not going to be offended.
Right.
So like, what was that like building this out? Because it's such a nice refresher to
Um,
have this.
with every project I do, when it comes to a cover, I'll provide like 3 or 4 just like thumbnail sketches for the whoever I'm working with to approve. So this one was just picked out of the 3 that I had, and then the requirement was they needed that. It's like the school, I think, is what it's called, or like the university that from Grim Fairy Tales. Like it had to be in the background, and then that was just the pose that he chose. So you have to build those on top of each other, but um I think with that one, it's like you with all those covers, you have to go by whatever background he said. Like, well, this one needs to incorporate the castle, or like the bell cover has to be on a tropical island. So that's just something that you have to consider when you're building the cover.
Let's also talk about this one too, because I love the background on this too. And I love how it's that, bunch of fun tropical covers,
Mhm.
also a lot of purples, blues, very much. It's sort of, I'm going to throw another property that maybe I should not throw out there, but it's sort of Sonic the Hedgehog like the background.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
And so I like that. And I just find that it's kind of fun where it's
Mhm.
it's not as fierce. I don't feel like Belle's going to
It
kill me.
is. It's more playful for sure.
Yes, very much so. Very much
Yeah.
so. And that's what's so cool about it is that, and I like Bell. I love Dave Franchini. You know, Dave
Mhm.
Franchini is just brilliant. The guy is the comic book writer that should have never been.
I'll tell you, he's fantastic to work with. I feel like we jive really well together. Um, I
I don't know if you know, I
appreciate the way
don't
he
know if you know.
communicates.
Did you know the story of how he came into Zenescope?
No, I don't think so.
It's great. It's a great story. It's going to change your relationship. He
Please.
came into them because he needed a internship doing some computer stuff. So he was like a computer science technology guy. He came in as an intern, and then it never stopped. And then he
Mhm.
just worked his way all the way through to where he is. Started writing comics, and it just happened. And
Mhm.
that's why I say that Dave is very much similar to Paul Levitz, where it's
Mhm.
almost like the internship that never stopped. And
Mhm.
they're like, "Yo, do you just want to stay here?" Like,
So technically,
yeah.
is he still an intern then?
I think he's the publisher
Hopefully
at
he's
the
on the
end.
payroll by now.
He clearly got double college credit. Clearly,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's a very interesting story, and that's why Bell is so interesting. But
Mhm.
getting back to this cover, because
Yeah.
it's playful, it's fun, and there's a lot of fun stuff with this one.
Yeah. This one, I really wanted to create like it had to be on a tropical island, but I didn't want to draw just a bunch of plants. So I'm like trying to incorporate, okay, what could really show some depth in there. So I have that pool down there below, almost like she's standing up on the cliffside, and that cliffside is like a kind of wraps around that bay, and then in the background I threw some clouds, the mountain or like maybe a volcano or something in the back, and then just like a really slight rainbow, kind of show that there's moisture in the air as well. But just all things I thought about, with these backgrounds that they require, it takes a lot of thought. Okay, like how many like little like Easter egg kind of things can you put into one cover to where people can kind of get lost in it. They can like see every little thing, like all the work that went into it.
Yeah, that's something that's really interesting because if you get really technical, you can lose somebody. Certain things could happen. I mean, I just had Greg Watson on before you. That's why I was late to
Mm-hmm.
this interview. And putting Easter eggs is cool, but there gets to a point where you can, I guess, make a cover really, really busy that it loses its.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to detract from like the actual subject of it, but at the same time, you want to just like show that you're putting in some effort. You always want like some way to put an edge on your covers. Like, oh, this guy goes the extra mile. And that's something that I always keep in mind. Like, what's something that I can do to show that like I really care about what I do.
And then really the third cover I want to show, because it's also done in a different style and a different subject, is this one. And I have this one, and I love this one. I mean, this thing is really pinup style. It's
I'm
just the
really
nice.
glad you like it, because when I did this one, I was like, this might be my least favorite one I've done for them so far. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed in it, but more just like, I don't think this is the best one I've done. But I had so much trouble with the face, and Dave and I actually went back and forth a couple times on the face that I had, just trying to like get it just right. And the one we ended up with, this is actually the original sketch. It was closer to the original sketch, and something about it is just it was so hard to get the angle right on it. And I find it surprising, I guess, that you and I've heard from other people that this is their favorite one.
So I mean, there's a few reasons why. I like the fact that her face is a little bit rougher and that
Mm-hmm.
it's not as angelic.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Zenescope, and this is just my opinion, it's nice to have different art style in there. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice to have, more of a rougher thing, more of a warrior. Have her be attractive, but look a little tougher.
Yeah.
Have Dorothy look a little tougher, and have Dorothy look a little more, I guess it's going to sound offensive, but not Southern, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense. Because this
Yeah.
doesn't look like Dorothy is Southern. Paul Green just did a cover of Dorothy, and that's a Southern cover by
Mm-hmm.
definition.
It's very
And
farm girl, is what you're saying.
yeah,
Like
yeah, farm
very
girl.
Midwestern. Like, yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't feel that. This
Mm-hmm.
feels more like international vibe in
Mm-hmm.
a way, and it feels that she also has, like, you can tell in her eyes that she's seen some shit. Like, seriously, you can see it, and
Yeah.
you can get, like, that's the feel I get, and that's what's nice about it. But then you also have her well endowed, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what's fascinating. You also have her sort of not giving a damn, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how I view this cover. Maybe I'm reading a little too much into it,
No,
but
read as much as you want into it. Like, if I find it interesting to see, what people can pull out of a piece of art.
but I'm also very different because I buy and sell comic covers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I find it so interesting. I feel like it's telling a story, and I could tell that this
Yeah,
character in this has been through some crazy shit.
I
And
love that. I
and
I want to create a story in there, like whether that be intentional or unintentional. If you can pull a story from it, I'm happy.
so that's how I view it, and that's why I like this cover, and that's why I bought it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's
Mhm.
cool. And when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get this one. And it's not, I don't know if I'm gonna flip it, buy it, sell it, or whatnot, but I like the fact that when somebody sees this, and I'll throw it up on Instagram, I'm hoping it gets a reaction. I think a bunch of people on my, Instagram are like, that's cool. I'm glad you have that cover.
Yeah.
That's a fun one. I don't know what the book is, but obviously it's Oz related and that's fun. And then we have this one too. And this is sort of, cool too, where obviously you got the background and we don't know what Hellchild is going to do next. And I love Hellchild. Love Hellchild. I think she's just such a fun, prolific cat. I think it's Hellchild, right?
Yep.
I'm making sure. It's been a while. My Zenescope card is definitely has a few asterisks in it. Me messing up. Just as Pat Chan that I didn't realize he created Van Helsing. That was not a good look. That was bad. That was bad. That was really bad.
It has been fun because every cover they've given me, it's been a new character. I'm like, how many characters you guys have? Like, there's quite a bit, and so we haven't come full circle yet. So it's nice that every single cover is a different character, and like I get a different vibe from it. So it's nice, like having that much variation in one publisher.
So let me actually ask you a question, because I know you're on the cover side, but this is 72 pages. And obviously this is a Pat Chan book. And so what is that like for you as well? Because when you're producing a cover, do you have any idea if it's going to be 72 pages? Do you also have an idea? Because a 72-page book is going to be more expensive. And so obviously, I mean, how much information do you get on all of that? Because I would imagine that to some degree, if this book's only coming out once every quarter, they're going to want maybe something a little bit different or something starker, because people need to be reminded, or there needs to be an impetus to say, oh, I get it. Or there needs to be almost a drive or something that's a 6-issue part, or it's coming out like Fairy Tales comes out every month. Or is it that, hey, this is what we're doing and this is the story, and what exactly do you know and what exactly don't you know? Because I would imagine that would influence your art to some degree, unless I'm wrong.
No, so it's a good question. The only thing I was given, like for this cover, for instance, was just the character, and then he gave me 3 or 4 reference images of the character done by other artists, and then the fact that it needed to be in front of like a Central American style temple. But at the I don't even know if he knew the title of the book. He just he was saying, this is Hellchild, we need it in front of this style of background. I had no idea. I mean, or at least maybe I don't remember if he told me it was going to go on a quarterly thing. Even if he did tell me, I wasn't even thinking about oh, this is once every 3 months. I need to make it really good, because I'm always trying to do my best anyway, but I almost feel like if I knew that it was a rarer print, that it would freak me out. I'd be like, oh no, now I need to try too hard, and then it end up bombing or something. So I find it better that I don't know, that there's more relying on the art, and just let me do what I want to do as well as I can. But I don't remember there being a lot of info, and a lot of the covers I don't even think he knows, or they know the title of it when I'm doing the cover.
No, because I just find it fascinating, because at this point, I mean, information is useful. And if I know that I'm interviewing somebody who's a bigger star, and as a superstar, nerves get all up in the air and things of that nature. Or sometimes I don't know if somebody's following on the internet or certain things about them, and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't know that, because it would have been bad. So, it could go either way. And so I just find it fascinating. And obviously, the business of comics is very, very interesting and complicated. And then obviously, I think you have 2 more covers I want to show from Zenescope, because I don't want to spend all night talking about Zenescope, but this thing is sick.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So this one, it was what was it called? It's a Wonderland Life. So from what I understand, it's a yearly thing they do where they do their characters with a winter theme. And this character in particular, I think he had one image, because it's a new character, the Time Mistress. And he had one piece of reference imagery he sent me. And I think it was an interior. It wasn't even a cover. It was just an interior piece of art. And I was drawing the character, and I was like, hey, do you have any more imagery? Because I tried to Google it and nothing came up. I was like, do you have anything more? He's like, no, this is the only thing we have. So I'm like, oh my god, like all this, like this character's design is kind of relying on me. Like, every artist that does this character after me, he's probably going to send them this. Like, this is probably going to be in the reference image pack that he'll send. So I wouldn't say it was intimidating, but it was a little frustrating, I guess, because I'm like, I would, however, design it, like that's going to be the character.
So let's even talk about that, because what is that like? Because now you're clearly etched into Zenescope's history, and characters evolve to a degree over time, but it's Robin Hood, Van Helsing, Alice, they haven't changed much. Matsumi and Gretel haven't changed much. Belle hasn't changed much, but Belle and Gretel are relatively newer than Van Helsing and Robin Hood. But now this character, and I don't know this character, so hopefully, the Zenescope gods will forgive me for that one. But even still, now when this character becomes further and further and further etched into Zenescope, obviously for a while at least, this is going to be the reference point. And so what is that like? Because now you're part of their history and you're defining what this character should look like.
I mean, when you put it that way, it's amazing. Like that sounds great. But I guess I would have to see, the next publication they have with that character on there, and I could see like the creative liberties that I took from the reference image that I had. I want to see if those carry on to the next iteration, which I don't even remember what they would be, because I don't remember what the original thing looked like, or the original image looked like that he sent me. But it'd be interesting to see what little details I put in there carry on to the next iteration. But yeah, when you put it like that, that sounds great. It's a dream come true, honestly.
Because it's just so interesting, and I know that I can't draw, so that's something I will never have. So it's just my day's ruined now.
No, I mean, but you at least appreciate art, and like that's important too.
I appreciate art, and I make money selling art. So
that's great. Yeah, I mean, we have to both exist for this to work.
Oh, no. I am just thankful I have two eyes and I could look at this, because this thing is cool.
Thank you.
That's the thing. And it's just like, what it is? It invokes emotion. That's the thing about it, is that not every Zenescope cover invokes emotion. Some of them are flat. Some of them just miss the mark. Some of them are interesting concepts and cool ideas, but they just don't hit for whatever reason. But that is kind of like, okay, I'm going to stop. If this is in a comic shop, I'm going to stop and at least look at it.
There's a lot going on. One thing I wanted to point out, which I barely caught it, was the buttons on her her
I knew that.
robe.
It's a snowman.
It's a snow. What'd you say? It's a snow. No. So it's deeper than that. Every button is a different moon phase. So the top is a new moon, and then the crescent moon, and then a half moon, cool. And then like the 3/4 moon, and then a full moon at the bottom.
That's cool.
Because she's like the time mistress. So then you have like the sun and the moon on her shoulders, and then the cracks in the cover. I kind of like made that like a breaking a fourth wall kind of thing, where she's breaking time around her. But cool. The buttons, they do kind of look like a snowman now that you say that. But no, it's there are phases of the moon, which there was something I almost missed when I was drawing this one.
That's cool. That's cool. That's super interesting. But I just think that obviously if I'm in a comic shop and I don't know what I want to buy, that cover is going to make me stop. And let's be realistic. There's so many books out now, both on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo, in the comic shop. People just going directly to consumer. People leaving. Patreon is a big thing. And I know plenty of people who do that you have to compete for my money and my airtime. I need to be earned as a customer. This is the first time in a very long time, and a lot of creators, and this might be the most controversial thing I'll say all night, where companies actually have to compete for my dollar now. 5 years ago, you did not have to compete for my dollar. Now, if Zenescope doesn't produce a good enough cover, or Merc doesn't produce a good enough cover, you're not going to earn my dollar, because let's be realistic, there's a lot of good work out there.
That's good though. Yeah, it's awesome.
And so not to put down the two people who are employing you, but I think it's a fair statement. I don't think it's...
I mean, because it goes for any company, though. Like, it doesn't matter who I'm working for. That statement applies to anyone. Like, I could be doing stuff for Marvel or DC, and, like, you would still say the same about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are doing work for them or your dynamite stuff, I mean, it
Mhm.
has to earn the dollar. And I think it's
Yeah.
a good thing. I think it's a good thing. And then this car I know isn't out yet, but it's pretty sweet too. It's got some
Yeah.
Rouge from the X-Men or Rogue from the X-Men, if you
Yeah,
will.
that was a it was like a last minute cover. I think Dave came to me like a week before he needed it. It's like, hey, can you do a cover like in 5 days or something? And I was like, I could probably do one, but we have to go simple on the background. Like I can't have any details. So we compromised. Like, yeah, that's fine. So I mean, I think I put it together within a few days. I didn't add a lot of perspective to this. Like the one of the Grimm fairy tales, the sky, has a lot of perspective to. Like, there's a lot of depth in this, and like this one, I was just like, I need to just do something that I am not going to mess up in the meantime. Like something simple where I could get in there, get it done, and that way I can meet their deadline.
So what I like about this cover and what I like about her is that she's not necessarily like a super jacked up fitness model.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a little bit of an ass. She's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit thicker, and she's not not unfit, but she's got some meat on her, and it's
Right.
nice to see. But she's sexy, and
It's
it's
fun to play
very
around with different body types for sure. And something I always consider is like, what does this character do all day? And how is that going to affect their physicality? So it's something to consider, like when you're drawing anything, like, what do they do? What are their strengths and how does it affect them physically?
I just like it. I like seeing this because it's kind of cool to see just
Mhm.
something a little bit different, and it's nice to see that. And it's nice to see it done sexy, and I think a lot of people
Mhm.
would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you.
do. And I think people won't say it, and I will. So there we
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Good.
but those are really, I think, like the six that I have pulled up with Zenescope.
Mhm.
I know there's a few others that I might have missed. I have a few of them. I know some of them aren't out, but that is my requirement as far as the Zenescope side of this interview. Um, I do still like Ralph and Joe and
Mhm.
Dave and Pat Chan's a god and Raven Gregory is just funny. Um, but anyway, I don't want to talk anymore about Zenescope because I want to talk about Merc.
Okay.
Yeah, Merc. I think Legends is somewhere in there mixed in. I don't know if you've done a cover for Legends yet.
I have
I
not.
know that Comics Elite is also mixed in there because these are all cousins in reality.
Yeah.
They're separate companies, but they're cousins.
Mhm.
The talent is interactive because Jamie Tyndall and Sean, I think, right,
Mhm.
own Merc. And then I know
Yep.
Sean just created Legends, and then Sean owns, is it his wife or his girlfriend? Or they're somewhat involved in Comics Elite, I think, correct?
Sean owns Comics Elite. I'm not sure who else has their fingers in it, but Sean's, kind of like the father of Comics Elite, Legends, and Merc. And then with Merc, it's Sean, Jamie Tyndall, and Murphy. Like it's those three. They all have
Yeah.
like different roles, but it's those three are the primaries.
Yeah, no, I just want to be factually accurate. I don't
Mhm.
want to say anything that I shouldn't say, but I
I
know
think
that
that's. I mean, that's as far as I know too. So again, I'm with you. Like I don't want to say
it's
anything that's wrong.
irrelevant on all
It's
that,
yeah,
but
it really is irrelevant, but it's something that I think
everybody,
people do find interesting though to see like how Sean's poking his head in different things.
yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on.
He's a busy man. He's
It's
a busy man.
fascinating.
He's
It's
ambitious.
fascinating. It's fascinating, and I don't know how that guy has time, but
I know.
not
I
to
don't understand it either.
But let's talk about Merc because
Hmm.
you came into Merc, and I think the last time we spoke, you did a cover or two covers for them, and
Hmm.
obviously you've done a lot more for them since. So how did you get into Merc? Because Merc to me is in the same vein as Zenescope. It's similar to Big Dog Inc. There's a few others that it's similar to. They're brand new, very much. They're still in the honeymoon phase. I feel where they're people love them. They're doing great. They're consistent on a bunch of these campaigns. When you're doing 50, 60,000 on almost every single Kickstarter you run,
Hmm.
that's a very cool position.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it over and over again and growing slowly, you're obviously in a company that is finding its audience and maintaining its audience and growing its audience and doing the greatest thing that everybody should do on Kickstarter, which is grow your audience and also increase the value and the amount of money your backer gives you each
Hmm.
round.
Yeah.
That is a healthy business. But How did you get involved with Merc?
Merc, there was a point last year, it was like early last year in 21, where I feel like I had a good portfolio, but I wasn't getting the type of work that I wanted to do. So I decided just to start reaching out to publishers. So I went to Comics Elite's website, because I had done a couple shows with them. So my name was starting to get out there, but I wasn't getting any work. So I went to their website and just kind of scrolled through all the comics that they sold. I think I went to a few other comic websites too, just like writing down names of publishers and see if I can go to their website, find their contact info. So I think I did like a shotgun approach where I just mailed out my portfolio to maybe like 5 publishers, just see if anyone would respond. And Murphy responded within like a few minutes. She was like, yeah, your stuff's good. And I think she asked me like, do you want to do a Miss Meow cover? So that was how it turned out, is like I contacted them, which is kind of weird because like I was already doing shows with Comics Elite. So I feel like Sean already knew about me, but it was my choice to contact Merc to be like, hey, can I do a cover for you? And then Murphy was like, yeah, I think she said the Tank Girl piece I have is the one that solidified her decision to get me on a cover. That one, yeah, that was fast. I'm surprised at how quickly you pulled that up.
I pulled everything.
Yeah, but yeah, so she had me on the Miss Meow cover, and I think it was Miss Meow number 2, where she's on like a surfboard in the water. But that was the first one. Yes, that one. That was the first one.
Oh yeah, it is this one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's actually talk about this. So obviously there's a bunch of stuff that you've worked on. So the Miss Meow, this came. I'm not going to show the more risque version.
Mm-hmm.
I do that plenty. And I don't want to push the line today.
No
but
problem.
there is a more risque version. And so this came out, and so obviously this was one of them. And then what was this like? Because Miss Meow number 1 did really well.
Mm-hmm.
It blew away so many things. And then obviously, did they kickstart? I think they kickstarted number 2 as well, right?
I'm not sure.
Or were you contacted for either an exclusive or for a Comics Elite exclusive? Because it's very tricky with Miss Meow, because there's like 3 or 4 different tracks. So I think some stores can order an exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong here. So anybody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll just apologize in advance if I got this wrong. But I know that there's the Diamond version. There's the Kickstarter version. There might be some store exclusives. And then there might be also just some weird thing happens where somebody wants it and then it's licensed out. And so where did this fit into all that? Because it's super interesting, and obviously it's a great cover.
I wish I could tell you more. The only information I had on it was that it was a character Miss Meow, and they sent me some reference images. And I think she said it takes place in Malibu, so you need to make sure it reflects that. And that was all I really knew about it. And then
Fair enough.
I think I would have done that one like in the springtime, and I guess it probably came out in that summer.
Yeah. And then obviously, this I know was on Kickstarter. This was on Kickstarter. I know that I think the limited edition nude version that sold out, that was 75 copies.
Yeah, Murphy was really impressed by how fast that sold. She was like, that sold out like in no time. Like within like 4 minutes, or it was something ridiculous that it sold out in.
So I know the regular version didn't sell out that quickly, but I know the nude version and the metal version sold out. So what is that like for you as an artist? Because one of the things that in the eBay business and what I do is that if I ever produce a variant, I want to sell that variant so damn quick, because that's a good problem when something can't be achieved or people can't get it. Because then they know for the next time something like this comes out and with you on it, they're going to bite at it. And it's a good problem to have when your art is demanded. So what was that like for you? Because I think it's twofold, and correct me if I'm wrong. A, you must be like, I really nailed that cover. And I gave an audience what they want. And B, I gave the people who are paying me something really good too. And they must be impressed. And it's kind of like your boss being like, you did a good job in the meeting today. So what was that for you?
For me, like when I did this piece, I was like, that's pretty good, but I don't think it's one of my best pieces. I I definitely think it was what they wanted, but when she told me it sold that fast, I was like, okay, that probably means they're going to come back to me for more covers. So like that's what's important to me is the fact that they're interested in my work, and like, you know, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to have regular like incoming projects. And so at that point I'm like, okay, well, if I just keep doing this style, I'll keep getting more work. And that's what was important to me.
So to even go further into that as well, I mean, obviously these Kickstarters do very well.
Mhm.
And so what is that also like for you? Because there also is a point of clout. When you're on a campaign that does $60,000 or $50,000 on Kickstarter, there's a lot of eyes on you.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how many backers were on that project, but at least 300, 350 saw your name, if not
Mhm.
more. Probably more like 500 if we're going to really call it and be more realistic. I'd be very surprised if it was not more than 500. So what is that like too? Because your brand is increasing, your name is increasing. This is a big thing in comics right now
Mhm.
that you're not a artist working for Merc, you're a brand essentially working for Merc because the Tristarr brand is what you are. You're just producing the product that you produce as a comic cover. If that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
it does. No, it does. I don't really think about it too much because I I don't like. I might share the Kickstarters. Like if they tell me like, "Hey, our Kickstarter's live," I'll share it. But I'm not looking to see how many people are buying their comics. So really didn't know. You know, I want to promote them when I can because you know they help me out quite a bit. So if there's like, "Hey, this Kickstarter's live and your stuff's on it," like, okay, I'll let people know. But outside of that, I'm just like, I hope it does well. Like, but
But you must know though to some degree that if you're selling out a comic cover or if there's 100 people who order just the nice version of it,
Mhm.
and somebody else had a comic cover and only 50 of them were ordered, you must know saying, "Oh man, there must be something to my brand here. There must be something to what I'm doing that's right."
That
And
and like I've had that feeling before. I'm like, I feel like my work is there, but it just wasn't getting noticed. And then Merc and Zenescope both, like they've really put my name out there quite a bit. You know, not to mention also, you know, Comics Elite and Clam McDonald as well have helped me get my name out there. But just having the covers under their name, it's like a stamp of approval by these.
yeah, no, it's an idea of clout.
Mhm.
There's a whole theory on it, and it's the idea that if I put you right next to a voice actor who's very prominent, all of a sudden both people benefit.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I may have. I don't know if I told this story last time I was here, but
right,
when I was at a New York Comic Con in 21, I went with Comics Elite, but I was scheduled to be at the Merc booth for like an hour on one of the days, and when I went over there, you know, it was just me, Murphy, and maybe maybe Ryan was there. Ryan's their other guy that works in there. I don't know if know him. But anyway, it was like us three probably there, and like I was there, just like every cover they would sell of mine, I would sign it for free. The customer would take it, I get to meet him or whatever. And then once my hour was up, she had Mike DeBalfo come in right after me, and when he got to the booth, I was like, dude, like I've been following your work for like 10 years. Like you're one of my top three favorite artists of all time. I was like, not trying, I didn't want to fanboy out on him or anything, but I wanted to let him know, like, this is big time because we're both behind the same booth, like doing the same thing. And I was following you for years, but now here we are, both just signing comics to sell to people. Like this is unreal to think about. And I don't know if he really got it as much as I was saying it, like to understand like how much it meant to me, but it was still cool to be able to express that to him and to kind of think about like, this
so
is a long road that I've traveled to be here.
this raises a really good question. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
curious about it. So, and I'll interject my own thoughts onto this question too, to some degree. Um, what is that like to cross over and then be in that realm where now I don't want to say it's an equal thing, but you're working with, obviously Jamie Tyndall's a very top artist, and to some degree he's booking these covers and has a hand in it, and obviously owns a piece of Merc.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they booked Mike DeBaffo. I'm trying to think of who else. Elias Chazudis has worked for them. Dalton Matiga has worked for them. These are all top people that
Yeah.
clearly millions of people, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people love. I've seen
Yep.
these artists. And so what is that like for you? Because you are a fan. And when you're following somebody for a while, and even for me, you're crossed over where you're still a fan, but now you have a foot in the industry. And that's how it is for me, is that I interview all these top voice actors and actresses. I don't want to be a voice actor, but I'm a fan of your work. I watch, I'm listening to you, every weekend when the show comes out, but then I'm interviewing you for an hour, hour and a half. And now I've crossed over, but I haven't. It's like, I don't know how to explain that question, but it's a weird situation. So what is that like for you? Because
It is interesting. Like, digital art, the way that it's, especially in comics, I guess, comic digital art really started to take off like in 2008, 2009. I feel like that's whenever Zenescope started. And like, that's whenever I first started noticing Mike DeBalfo, Jamie Tyndall, like, all these artists. And then now that like I've started doing it, I almost feel like I'm the second generation. Like, they were the first generation of these digital artists, like pinup artists, or anything.
Yeah.
And then like I'm the second generation. So it's cool to be. It's almost like you're on the JV team or you're on the football team, but like there's the seniors who like know what they're doing, and they're the ones that are like, they're still the top names, but it's cool to both be on the same team in a way.
Yeah, no, that's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and there is an idea where Generation 2 and Generation 3 are coming up, and obviously Generation 1, because I had Joe Brush on, who obviously is the one half of the team that forms Zenescope with Ralph.
Yeah.
And so I said to Joe on an interview, I said, you guys kind of replaced Top Cow of this bad girl art style. And so a lot of people, I felt, Top Cow existed, the Image thing fell apart, comics more or less went bankrupt. And in 2004, 2005, Zenescope was built, and it became a home for bad girl art in this style. And I feel like Generation 1 was built out of Zenescope in a lot of ways. People say, Zenescope really revived bad girl comics. And people have disagreed with me and really want to do what Zenescope's done. And you are Generation 2. So it's super interesting. And there's a bunch of people like that. I mean, and even Dolan, who was watching a little bit, he watched the Gregbo one, and obviously he's seen parts of this. He's sort of Generation 2 in the writing side as well. Maybe Generation 3, because writers, I feel, have a shorter generation life than artists. But what is that like? Because obviously Merc is a very interesting company right now. And
I'm sorry. So what the question is, what is it like to be in like the second generation?
Be in this second generation, be in an era where this generation can explode. Because let's be realistic, in 2008 and Generation 1, there wasn't as much of an explosion.
Right.
The internet wasn't where it was. DeviantArt.
DeviantArt was like the only thing that existed, and that's how I found a lot of these artists. Now there's so many different social media sites to promote your art on.
There's this little thing called Instagram, guys. I don't know if anybody, it might not take off.
I still haven't like done a TikTok thing yet, because I hate social media, so I post when I have to, and I don't want to keep having like all these different things. Like, if I could just have someone to do it for me, that would be the best.
There's a rule. So me and my guest last night were talking about TikTok. Sorry to interrupt. And TikTok for me was the last one in, and it's the first to go. So I do not use TikTok. I don't have time. It's
exactly. It's like I don't have time. I just want to create. Like I don't want to deal with promoting it. Like, it is fun sometimes to post, but I just want to make stuff.
I love Twitter. Twitter's like my favorite thing in the world, because it's fighting and commenting.
And Twitter's an older one too. Twitter's been around since like what, 2008, 2007.
I mean, I'll be very honest. Twitter's fun because you're tweeting, and then some girl follows you, and then she sends you a picture of herself, and you can't respond because you have to be an adult. But Twitter's fun. It's a blast. It's a blast. And this is the problem. But like TikTok, it was the last one in. It's the first to go. I don't have time to create a good TikTok. I don't have time to create an Instagram reel. I have time to
Yeah.
post a picture of my favorite comic book. Be like, isn't Dorothy great?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, and that's
man,
like all
I
you
would
really
love
need.
this Wizard too, guys. Like,
Yeah.
it takes me 2 seconds and I'm good. I'm good. Like, I don't
Mhm.
have time for this. But
Yeah.
like, I post on Facebook, I post on Twitter, I
Mhm.
like Instagram, and that's it. And I'm
Yeah.
perfectly happy. I sleep
Yeah,
fine at night.
same. My biggest ones are Instagram, Facebook. I do have a Twitter, and I do update it every now and then. But like I said, I update it when I feel like I have to, or when I have something new that comes out. Um, I'll promote to those. But so if you, like I said, if you want to figure out what I'm up to, Facebook and Instagram are probably the top ones that I use.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then obviously there's some other stuff I want to show too. So we got
Mhm.
this right here,
Yeah.
just super cool. And I know that you have this one up on your website,
Mhm.
the maybe naughtier version, which
That is the
is
naughty version.
oh snap.
Yeah, that's the naughty version. The unnaughty version, she has a cloak on her back.
It's an expensive book though. It's like a $50 book.
Is it really?
on your website, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, because I just matched what it's on, like on eBay.
Even better, even better. I
Yeah,
love it.
because I
Love it.
think the one with the cloak on it, I think that's like $20. Like that's pretty basic, but yeah, this one's the rarer one. So I think Merc is out of this one, but I still have some.
Yeah, no, they're cool, and if you want it signed, that's how it goes.
Hmm.
You could sign everything off of your website.
Yeah, I sign
Um,
everything before it ships out for free.
totally plugging you right here. There's this one too, which is
Hmm.
cool. This is 5, so I think there's like 3 versions of this, if I'm not mistaken. There's the regular version of this, I
Uh-huh.
think, and then there's a foil version. That
Yeah.
foil
Mhm.
version is like $120 on eBay.
Yeah,
It's
it's quite a bit.
crazy. Um, maybe it's 75, but like even like the non-foil versions like 35 to
Hmm.
50. It's
Yeah.
ludicrous. It's a great cover. I mean, it's a beautiful cover. It's sort of out of your style, I feel, a little bit, which is nice too.
And so I wouldn't disagree with you, but like expand on that. Like how is it out of my style? I'm just kind of curious to see what you would
No,
think.
no, 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 no. I mean, the way I see it is that normally you don't really have a character laying down,
Mm,
right?
okay.
And you have her tilted. You
Hmm.
also have her being a little bit more angelic, I feel, to be
Hmm.
quite honest. And you also have her, still playful, but also willing to kill, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. And so
Yeah.
you have her almost looking more like a Bond girl, to be
Okay.
honest.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm glad you said that.
And so like that's what I mean by out of your style. Like
Hmm.
I'll show another book. Like this to me is
Hmm.
way more similar to what you've done with Zenescope.
Yeah.
And is more like it's a Bond girl.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Cool. I like that. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that.
like, I'm not like I'm trying to be like not offending, but like that's why I say
No,
it's out of
you're
your
not at all.
style.
I was just curious, like, to see how it's out on, because I stare at these things all day. So like I don't really see the differences that other people might. So it's interesting to see when you say it's like out of my style, because I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, how is it different?
Because I'll throw this one up too, because this is similar to Dusk Rider, which
Hmm. Yeah.
is something you've done. And
Yeah.
so when I saw this, I was like, that's sort of expected. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? When I saw this, I'm like, a little bit out of your style. Didn't expect that and
Yeah.
fascinated by it. And then we go into this, and I'm like, cool. This is sort of that Zenescope,
Yeah.
realm and what
Well,
I
this one
expect.
I didn't really have a lot of creative freedom on, because it was like an homage to a different image that was sent to me, so I had to make it look almost exactly like that, in the way that it was constructed.
Yeah, and then I think this one also has some like another version of it as well. I think if I'm not mistaken, where it has a rarer version as well.
Yeah, so this one actually has three versions. There's this one, and then there's like the two other versions that's like get skimpier and skimpier.
So what is that like? Because that's kind of a Paul Green move for you with some of his covers, and it's kind of I would imagine it's kind of fun to
What, to
have
like
basic.
have like a skimpier, like a just a different version?
Yeah, to have it get basically down to
It's
to
interesting because like you just kind of design from the base up. So you go like I forget, when I was talking to the guy who commissioned this one, um I think he may have wanted, I don't know if he wanted a nude or not, but I was like, I don't do nudes in. I think I did 2, but after that I was like, I don't want to do anymore. So with that one, I was like, here's as skimpy as I'm willing to go, and then we'll just build on top of that. And so I gave him like 2 options, because normally I just do like a regular and then the skimpy variant. But I had 2 options. Like, I think both of these look cool. Like, I don't mind just giving you an extra one because I need to draw this part anyway. And so we can that's just more money for you essentially to have 3 versions of the comic. So he created 3 of them, but we initially only intended on 2. But it's just a matter of like layering the clothes on top of each other. It's almost like a paper doll in a way, where you just kind of design the character and then create the clothes on top of it.
See, I don't know any of this. This is why this is so interesting. So basically, I mean, let me ask you a question, and this might be some trade secrets here, but when you're building a character on a cover and there's going to be a risque version, so just her in her bra and panties and then her clothed, do you essentially build the base and then just build it with her in bra and panties, and then you almost, because if you're designing it digitally, so then is it almost like a layer just on top?
So you would just design like the skimpier version first, and then put like the extra thing on top of it, like the real.
So would it be
the
like
extra
a
stuff?
patch, essentially?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Would it be like a patch, essentially?
Almost. Yeah. That's what Murphy calls it. I just call it like a variant, or just a patch where you would have another layer on top.
That's so interesting. Again, I'm not an artist, and I just find it so interesting because I don't necessarily think about how a nude cover is created. I think about, cool, what is going to be an image that creates an emotion with somebody? That's like when I'm booking something or when I'm commissioning something, I'm like, cool, what's going to create an emotion? I'm not so worried about how it gets done as what the end product looks like.
And that's a very important part too. Like, the emotion is what art is. Like, if it doesn't convey an emotion, it's just kind of cheap, probably. Like, it doesn't really have a lot of value to it.
And so like that's how I view it. And like, but I'm not going to go tell an artist how to do their job, but I will tell them, I want this item.
I mean, but if you're the one paying for it, like, it's good to know that's what sells.
And so like I've commissioned some cool personal pieces, and I'm like, man, and people are like, dude, that's awesome. And so like, but I'm not going to go tell Elias Chazus how to draw what
exactly.
I want.
Yeah. And like, you can kind of convey what you're looking for, but you're paying that artist because you want their flavor. You want their style as your character.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and I envy artists because it's such a cool skill that I do not have. And
it's all right. Hey, like, there's plenty of things that I'm terrible at. That if everyone was an artist, the world would fall apart.
I'm just saying that it must be so much fun because, like even just looking at this, like it's so cool to me that this is drawn, and I'm just being honest. Like this right here is awesome, and then there's a few other covers that I'm going to show, and obviously I like showing this one right here. Again, Bond girl type vibe, and I know this was in diamond because I think I actually have this one. I just didn't open it up yet. And then you have something like this, which is awesome.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. Just the perspective of it, and like designing all the little like Candyland things around it. I didn't really have a lot of direction with this one. She was just like, have candy, and then I think just one of the sketches they picked out, and then I was like, I hope they go for a Candyland theme because no one's done it yet. I feel like it would fit really well. So I just designed the Candyland thing around her, and they loved it. So it's one of my favorite ones I've done.
The day I can draw like this is the day I'm not Eminem. So that's such a good joke right there. But what is this like? Because this is an expensive book also on your website. It's like a $50-$60 book, which is awesome.
I forget. Like I said, when I'm pricing stuff, I look at what it's going for on eBay, and because I don't want to undercut myself at the same time.
Because it's a really cool cover though, and that's the thing. And I know there's a nude version, there's a regular version, there might be a foil. There's a lot of cool stuff, and it's just a nice cover, and it's also an instant connection cover. You know, when I was speaking with Greg Bo a little while ago before you, we were talking about Star Wars covers, and Star Wars covers instantly connect with fans because everybody has a Star Wars story, new, old, and different. You know, Andor, whatever you want it to be, and Candyland. I think most people in society have either heard about Candyland,
Right.
played Candyland,
It's
or
recognizable for sure.
and so what is that like to do a Candyland, cover? Because again, you're creating emotion, you're creating that connection, and that you're like, I remember when I
Hmm.
played Candyland and it was a snow day at school and we didn't have to go and we were home and it was a good time. And like people have very, very emotional stories with Candyland.
I think with this one, it's all about uh like juxtaposing the violent character with a very cute and colorful setting. So in the other version, she's got like blood splatter all over her face, and there's like blood all over the ground. And I think the shotgun she's carrying is smoking. So it's all about like the joke with the viewer is this cute girl that's covered in blood, and then she's in this really cute setting. So it's like I said, it's all about like the contrast of fun and violent.
So let's even talk about that too, because this isn't the first time you've done two covers and that you've added some extra stuff
Hmm.
to one of those covers. And this is one of the things, and I've had Steph Wilson on, Greg Watson obviously was on before you, and he does this sometimes. And I think it's a nice touch when an artist says, this has to make sense.
Hmm.
So if we're going to go do a nude cover, it has to be a night. Or with Steph
Hmm.
Wilson, he did a book where the girl only was there and there was only one bat. But then when she took off her top, there was a whole flock of bats
Hmm.
there because they were all staring and all excited. Or Steph Wilson did a cover with a toaster and the girl's putting up toast and the thing of the toaster is National Toast Day was this book for. So then when her top's off, the toaster shot up the toast.
That's funny.
But again, it adds something to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
It
and
adds even
so
more value to it.
And so it adds value, it adds story to it. And so what is that
Exactly.
like?
That's adding a story between the first and the second one. So like, oh man, now I need them both. So you can get the whole joke. I never thought about that, but like that's a really cool concept to do, to link the two in a way that is like a before and after in a way.
Because let's be realistic, people on Kickstarter, and this is just my take on it. This is how I view it: is that it's a novelty to
Hmm.
back something on Kickstarter, meaning that people tend to pay more for something on Kickstarter because they want it to be exclusive. They want access to a cover that's not going to be in stores.
Hmm.
And so I'm willing to spend $20 on a Kickstarter, or I just backed the Mount Olympus book by eBass, and it's a $60 book, but it's not going to be on in stores,
Hmm.
and they're only print so many that are going to be made to order, and then next Monday it's going to vanish. So if you
Hmm.
didn't get it, now I know I have a very rare book, and so I really want that. And then when you tell that story, and let's be realistic, if you like something, you're going to buy both, or typically on Kickstarters, you can buy both covers.
Hmm.
And so there's a reason why. And that's why I think it's so great when you have that blood splatter, because you have her in a very tame mode, but then you have her also with the gun
Hmm.
smoking. You can make the idea and connect the two covers where, well, maybe she had a bad, dice roll and she had to kill something. And
Yeah.
that's why the gun's smoking. That's why
Mhm.
there's blood on the floor. That's why there's this going on. And I think it's just such a nice touch. I
Yeah,
really do.
it's like it really shows you what the character is before you even start reading. Like you kind of understand how this character works.
So I just think it's nice. And then obviously you're doing a lot of work with pretty much Merc, and there's a few others. There's this one right here,
Hmm.
which is Born of Blood,
Yeah.
number one. Now I don't know if this was on the campaign or if this was in Diamond, but it's a cool cover nonetheless, or if it was an exclusive. I know this one I think was on. This was New York Comic Con. We know that
Yeah, that
one.
was the exclusive for New York Comic Con. It was the preview issue. It was me and Ariel Diaz did the other one, which hers was amazing. I saw hers. I'm like, no, hers sold out like in no time. Like no wonder because it was fantastic.
She's interesting, or
Oh my god, it
he.
was amazing.
I know people who have both Ariel Diaz
Hmm.
and fascinating, great cover artist for
Hmm.
sure,
For
for
of
sure.
course.
And so that's cool. But obviously, what is that like to have a New York Comic Con exclusive? Because Not
There
everybody
was
gets one.
actually like 3 exclusives that year in 21. So there was this one, there was the Death Rage one with Candy on the front, where she's like holding the lollipop and she's in front of like this wallpaper style. There was that one, and then I feel like there was one other one that was, or maybe it wasn't exclusive, but it came out that week. Um, Maybe it was a Zenescope book. I know there was 3, and I'm just having trouble remembering what the third one was. It was crazy to think that, like, you know, a few months prior I had nothing under my belt, and then three months later there was all these comics came out like all in the same week. Actually, it was a Zenescope book because I remember going by their booth while I was there. I'm like, hey, do you have my book that just came out like yesterday? And like, no, we don't have it yet. I think it was the Van
Yeah,
Helsing
yeah, it
one.
was the Van Helsing that they then made into a metal card.
Yeah, it came out probably that first week in October of 21, whenever New York Comic Con was. But they didn't have it at the time. But yeah, it would have been that one. Um, and then I remember like 2 weeks later, I had Indiana Comic Con, and I got those comics finally, like my own comps. I got them as Indiana Comic Con was going on, so I was able to sell them there for the first time.
And then obviously, going off of this one, I'm sure this one again, because then you had this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the greatest image, but I think everybody gets the gist. And I believe this is actually sold out.
Is it? I have some myself. I'm pretty sure.
So I am definitely a buyer. If somebody wants
Mm-hmm.
to sell me one of those, if you
Yeah,
have one, hit me
I
up.
think I have some though. But yeah, they're blank covers. I've done a few commissions on those. Or Comics Elite might even have some too.
But I know that on Merc's website it's sold out. So I
Is it?
believe Jay Ferguson is not sold out, and I forget who did the other one. I think you can still buy those on Merc's website. I don't think you can buy this one on Merc's website, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
cool. It's a fun one.
it's good to know
So,
they're in high demand.
yeah, and I think it's a really, really cool concept. This, so obviously that's something that's super cool in that regard. And then I know you also did, as soon as I find it, trying to find the cat fight one. It's somewhere in here. Right here, yeah, you did this one too.
Oh yeah,
Just and
there's a
that's
lot going on in this one. There's a lot of little things.
this is a very, very busy
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I think she's being a very, very difficult little kitty, to say the
Yeah,
least. She's
for
got a
sure.
marker, she's got a razor, and yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. A lot of
Yeah,
stuff's going.
there's the pizza box, there's chips, there's crushed soda cans, popcorn, the Nintendo Switch up there, and then like all the little Sharpie marks. There were so many things like I wanted to write in there. I'm like, oh, I can't put that on a cover. Like, I think it's probably against some rules. So I had to like try to PG it down so that it would be able to sell.
It's a very, very
Because I was
interesting.
looking up like Sharpie, sleepover Sharpies on Google just to kind of get some ideas. And like, I can't put these on a cover. Like, this is like R rated. You can't do this stuff. Like, I need to at least like have it to where you could put it on a store shelf. So it was a matter of like trying to PG it down a lot.
Yeah, and I think that was first on Kickstarter, and that was if I'm not mistaken, that was a collaboration between
Mm-hmm.
Naughty and Nice and Cat Fight, Miss Meow Cat Fight.
And yeah, it was Naughty and Nice, and yeah, I guess it would have been Miss Meow.
Yeah, I mean, it was Michael Morat and Jamie Tyndall essentially
Mm-hmm.
collabing, essentially,
Yeah.
which is just a fantastic collaboration. And Michael Morat
Mm-hmm.
is a legend, to say the least. And
Mm-hmm.
so, really cool thing. So, what was that like to work on that too and do a cover for, I guess, that collab? Because
It was kind of
that,
intimidating. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Mike DeBalfo, and like he had done a lot of Naughty and Nice stuff. So I'm like, oh, sweet, like another thing I can put under my belt, saying like, oh, I got to work on this cover. But that one was a little intimidating as well because it needed 3 characters on it, and they didn't really give me any direction with it. They're like, I just needed to have all 3 of them on there. I'm like, well, I always want to add some kind of interaction either between the character and the viewer or in between the characters themselves. So this one kind of has all 3 where I wanted to create some kind of scene and tell a story with those three. So I asked Murphy, I was like, what about like a sleepover theme? And I think she was like, yeah, whatever. Just do something cool. So I'm like, all right. So I made that, and it was just a lot of work to do it. I don't feel like it's one of my best covers personally, but I do think it kind of goes outside of what is expected of me. So like it was a nice surprise for people as well, because it isn't the typical like pinup style cover.
Yeah. So what is that like as well? Because direction is a big thing.
Hmm.
Because some artists work really well under direction. They're like, hey, look, just point me in the right direction
Hmm.
and tell me what to do. And then others are like, I don't want any direction. Here's my book. Here's some thoughts. And
Hmm.
what is that like for you? Because it could go either way. I feel as an
Um,
artist.
yeah, it can go either way, and I don't know if I prefer a lot of direction or no direction. So, say for instance, the I have to bring back to Zenescope for a second. Like the Hellchild and the Bell covers that I did, those both I was told like you need to have a tropical background behind Bell, and you need to have a Central American temple behind Hellchild. Like those two themes of like the character style and the background don't mix. Like I was like, how am I going to do this? So it was tough because with Hellchild, I would think you would have like maybe I don't know, like a grungy club or something, like a bar. And then with Bell, you think more of put a castle or the woods or forest or something. But like a tropical island, like that, it's very difficult to think about. So in that sense, that was direction. It needed to be there because it has to reflect what the book's about. But it's almost very difficult to try and mesh those two things together. So with Merc, they have a little more freedom. Like with the Candy and the Candyland one, I didn't really have a lot of direction, but I felt like those two themes meshed really well together because I was able to not have any direction. Um, so when it comes to like how much like freedom I have, sometimes I like it because I think it's a really good idea and I like to see what I can do with it. Other times I have my own idea. I'm like, well, I really want to see what this looks like because it's not going to get out of my head until I draw it. And so I really want this opportunity to create that.
No, I just think it's interesting. And
It is.
for
And there's
someone.
not a definite answer. I wish I could give you one, but
Oh,
it
no, no,
depends on
no,
the
no. Sorry.
project.
There are no wrong answers. There are no wrong answers. This is not a pass or fail
Yeah.
test. There's only one question that you can fail on my show, and it's what is the best out of the original Star Wars? Which episode is the best? There's only one correct answer.
It's episode 5.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
Exactly.
only one. I mean, the rest of them are good, but yeah, Empire Strikes Back is just like it's the epitome of Star Wars.
They're all great. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly. They're all great.
we're all equal. Some of us are more equal than others. That's what episode 5 is, everybody.
Yeah.
And if you don't know where that's from, I recommend reading Animal Farm. Great book, absolutely great book. A
Fantastic.
lot of things are in that book. And
I haven't read
then,
it since I was very young, but it's a very important book. I did read 1984, and that one's equally as good.
yeah, Fahrenheit 451 is a good one too. And maybe if enough people comment on reading it, maybe I'll start a book club as well once a
Oh, that'd
month.
be nice. Yeah.
Monday nights, we'll have intellectual discussions about the greatest American literature that you could read. I'll host it once a month. It'll be great. But we'll host it on Zoom so I can have like 10,000 people in my room.
Yeah, there you
go. It'll be hilarious. Because I am not the guy to do it. That's why it'll be great. Anyway, I do want to talk about one more thing. And I actually don't know anything about this book, but I did pick up this book, not this cover, but it's Daughters of Eden.
Yeah.
And this is interesting. And the only reason why I picked it up is that I picked up a Jamie Tyndall version of this, which is the Mario version of it. In the metal, the regular version, and then the trade dress, and then a bunch of other books too. And so what is that like? Because I don't know if that's a Merc book. I don't know if it's a Jamie Tyndall book. I don't know everything involving, but I know there's a lot of variants with it, and I know you're just one of the many.
Yeah, so that was I think a purely Jamie Tyndall book. On the back of him, on the back cover, it has like his logo on it. So no, those are outside of Merc. I didn't actually work with him directly. It was what's her name? It's escaping me right now. Is one of the girls that works for him. She was my correspondent throughout the whole thing, but they wanted 2 covers, each with a variant. Or no, I think they just wanted 2 covers. And I always work as like, I'll give you a regular cover and I'll include a variant with it. And they needed them both within like 2 weeks or like 10 days or something like that. So I was like, I can do it, but we have to like do a simpler background on it, like nothing too crazy. And like they were fine with that. So they gave me the characters and not a lot of direction. They had some interior art of the characters that they gave me. And then I just designed them on that. And I do have my own comps of those that he had signed and then sent to me as well.
Because one of the things that's really interesting is that I don't know much about this book. I just know that a lot of cool people have done variants. Bill McKay's done a variant. There's a bunch of other stuff. There's some Star Wars variants. There's, obviously the Mario stuff. And so what is that like? Because whenever you're part of a book that has a lot of variants, and obviously you go on eBay and then you could find, I think, like 20 different variants. There's nude variants, there's regular variants. And so what is that like? Because whenever you're part of a book that tends to do that, it's kind of a cool thing. Where
it
there's
is. I'm sorry. But I'm just gonna say, I didn't know how many other artists were going to be on it. I was just Tabitha, that was her name. I was contacted by Tabitha to create these, and I had no idea when the Kickstarter was going to launch. I just was given the characters, designed them, and then when the Kickstarter launched, that's when I got to see who all was also commissioned to do these. But it was an honor just working for Jamie Tyndall, because like I said, like he was one of those artists I found like 10, 11 years ago, and I saw it and I was like, I want to do this. Like I see their art, I'm like, I want to do that. So to work for him, like that's awesome. Like I feel like I'm already done. Like if I was told I have to retire like tomorrow, I'm like, okay, well I've already accomplished everything I want to do.
This is interesting too. So I am far from done. I have a top 5 list. And my top 5 list is interesting. I haven't published it yet, but maybe I'll publish it tomorrow. And I think people might be fascinated to see who's on my top 5 list. Those 5, once I hit those, I'm probably done as an interview. It's gonna take a lot to get me out of retirement. But what is that like? Because working on characters, I know a lot of people say, I want to do a Spider-Man cover. I want to work on Batman. I want to work for DC. I want to work for Marvel. Or, with me, I want to run my own business, right? Whether it's comics or not. And so what is that like for you saying,
I guess like I'm not done, obviously. I would love to work. I would love to work on like a Marvel or DC. So there's always the next goal. But I didn't really think about what I would do after I started working for Zenescope, or like having covers come in regular, or cover projects come in regularly. Because I found Zenescope like 10 years. I'm like, one of these days I want to be doing covers for them. And I just kept working on my portfolio. And then eventually Dave was the one that reached out to me. Like I didn't even submit my portfolio to them. Dave Franchini found my work and he was like, hey, like your stuff's really good. Do you want to do a cover for us? And I was like, what? That's awesome. Like I get to do it. So after that, I was like, well, I don't know what to do after this. Like this was my goal for forever, like since I've been working towards this. So doing consistent work for them, like that's what I wanted.
Let me follow up because obviously if Zenescope was, they reached out to you and you discovered them and you were a fan and you're like, I want to do covers for them. And then you achieve that. And then obviously the goal, there's really 2 goals I think is safe to say. The first goal is that you want to continue to do covers for them as long as you can, as long as, they're happy with you and you're happy with them. And the other thing is that then how do you say, what is my next goal? Because that's a big issue I feel that people in comics have. I feel it's a big issue that people in life have. I'm right now going through it saying, what is my next moves? What is my next goal? I mean, I have a pretty good idea what my next goal is. But that's something that I think is fascinating. So how do you figure out saying, hey, what is my next goal? What do I want to accomplish next? Not even a goal, but saying, what company do I want the privilege to work for? Or even do I want to sell out a book in 3 minutes, not 4? Like,
Oh, yeah. I think my next goal, like, hopefully, would be do like a DC cover because I could see myself um following in like Nathan Zerdy's footsteps, where he's done a lot of the pinup stuff, but he also does a lot of DC things, and I think my stuff would fit right alongside that. And I would love to do that, and like maybe it requires more um more development in my career. Like maybe it takes a longer time to be professional to be able to do that. Uh, or like honestly, the goal now, like a more attainable one, would be just to do some Dynamite covers because I've already done the Comics Elite exclusives for the Red Sonja and the Vampirella, and Ernie at Comics Elite he suggested you could do in the Red Sonja, you could do a Draculina or another Vampirella, and I would love to. It's just I don't have the time right now. Like I'm constantly at these other covers from Zenescope, and it's been a few months that I've done one from Merc, but I've been working on some Zenescope projects, and that's what's been keeping me busy from like the end of November up until the end of this month. I'm going to be working on the current project I have for them.
so isn't that a good problem though?
It is. No, it's a fantastic problem. I'm just saying, like, if I wanted to do these other publishers, I'd have to like not be busy with the publisher that I want to work with. So it's like I have no complaints.
Well, what
With
a
my
problem
workload.
you have, man. What a problem. What a
Yeah,
problem.
exactly. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because I'm not.
It's all right.
I,
It's all right. What a problem you
I'm
have.
just saying, like, if I wanted to do these other covers, I have to not be so busy. Like, I want to finish Dusk Rider, but I can't because I'm so busy with these incoming work. And like that was always planned as like my background project in case I did get like a lull in my incoming work. I could always fall back on that. But just I haven't had a chance.
No, 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 no. There are plenty of good problems to have. Believe me, as somebody who buys and sells a lot of books,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the world is at my fingertips, where I legitimately can buy any book and I can sell any book and I can make a decent amount of money
Mm-hmm.
doing it. And if one company is giving me a hard time, I can go to 10 others,
Yeah,
and then
it's good.
keep cycling, and I can make just as much money. Maybe 5 years ago that didn't exist. So I am not complaining
Mm-hmm.
about any of this.
Yeah.
Same thing with getting guests. I don't have a problem getting guests. Usually the second week of January, the first 14 days of January are always tough.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you being here, by the way.
Oh, of course. No, and like whenever you contacted me last year, I saw some of the people you had interviewed. I'm like, oh, this guy's like legit. Like he's had real people on here. So I'm like, I want to be alongside of that. Like that's cool. Like
Yes,
the fact
yes,
that you
real
consider
people.
me as good as these people that you've interviewed, like hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, yes, real people, not AI
Yeah.
generated.
Yeah,
Clearly,
actual
clearly,
people.
real.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. It will come one day. It will be a fun interview because
Mm-hmm.
if I can find an AI to interview,
Uh-huh.
that would be a blast.
You think
It'd be a
anyone would
blast.
watch?
It'd be so much fun. It'd be so much fun. It wouldn't even be a serious interview. I
Yeah.
just think it'd be fun to watch. I think
You
it'd
could
be
like outtake
it'll be great. It'll be
bonus
so much fun.
material.
It'll be great. It'll,
Yeah.
it'll be right on my Patreon page.
Yeah.
But that's what you get at $100 a month. Is just to
Mhm.
watch that interview. Everything else, I'll pay you to watch my content. No,
No.
but no, no, no. I mean, it's a good problem to have though, because let's be realistic. Being an artist in comics and making a living in comics is really hard.
Mhm.
And it is brutal. And I know plenty of people who have a 9 to 5 job. They're artists and they're doing okay, but is they can't not do this full time.
Mhm.
And even if they could, they really don't have the ability to do it. And so being busy is a good thing.
Mhm.
It's a very good thing. And so obviously that's something that is super, super interesting and it's very, very healthy.
It is. I found that like if I didn't have any projects coming in, I make my own projects. I don't wait for anything to come in. So like that's why Dusk Rider kind of came to be, was if I was in between projects or I needed to develop my portfolio, I had like a continuous thing I could work on. And I think that's all part of it. Like you can't just wait for work. You have to create your own projects, create your own deadlines, and just stay ambitious with it. I mean, obviously you still need to make money. So for a while, like after I left the agency and was transitioning into comics, I had a couple different jobs where I would work maybe like 20, 25 hours a week. So it's like part-time. That way I had a paycheck that I could like count on. But in the other 20 hours of my week, I would spend drawing or like just adding more stuff to my portfolio and just studying, making more, like developing, just trying to get better.
No, no, I think it's very, very important. I mean, I work a 9 to 5.
Hmm.
I work 40 hours and I do this on the side or in my eBay business on the side, and it will always be that way. But I am currently in the next year developing myself and
Yeah,
taking classes and reading a lot of books. And I obviously spend a lot of time doing that because it's beyond important at this point. So,
exactly. Yes.
and I wish, and I'm fortunate enough right now where I just started a new job and I'm very happy there. But I'm now obviously, if I lost my job, the
Hmm.
first thing I would do is probably kick this up to a new notch and figure out how to make working fun of
Yeah,
part-time
good.
pull in.
Yeah, it's like you have the time, like you invest in yourself. As long as it's not like a wasted effort, which with this, it's like you definitely have a good thing going.
Oh, I love this, and there are other advantages to this where it's in many ways a research arm for other things that I'm doing. So yeah, so it gives me insight into things that normal people who don't do interviews, not normal people, because everybody is weird. There's no
Hmm.
such thing as a
Yeah.
normal person. We're
Yes.
all weird, we're all unique, and we're all special. Um, I don't want to say because the second we say we're normal, normal's boring. Is all I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
it is very much. Yeah.
I don't want vanilla anymore. I'm bored with vanilla. I like a lot of weird stuff, and
Hmm.
because it's fun. Um, but anyway, I digress on that because, but again, I don't even know where I was going with this question. Yeah, I'm so confused now. I'm so
It's all
confused,
right.
so confused now. But that's not the point. My point is that you have a great problem. You have a great situation going on, and it's good to be busy because being a starving artist sucks.
Hmm.
It sucks. If you're starving in general, it sucks. And it's just doing this stuff and making money in comics is hard. And
Yeah,
actually being
I think
respected in
that
comics
is the
is hard.
goal, is just to figure out ways to stay busy, um, and essentially just run out the clock until you're too old to draw anymore. Like I just want to keep doing it as long as I can.
It's a good problem, and you know what it is, never say never. And the way technology is going, you know what it is, things are gonna be there to assist you in
Mhm.
drawing and writing and all sorts of stuff as we just continue onward. And it's gonna be good. And then
Yeah.
I'm excited for what you got coming out next.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I am too. Like I'm excited to see where the next year is going to go. Um, this past year has been nuts. I mean, it's been nuts in a good way. Like I had the contract with Merc. We did like a 6 month contract where I was doing a I had to basically guarantee them a cover every month. Sometimes they wanted two covers in a month, but I was only obligated to do one. And then in the meantime, I was doing a cover for Zenescope at least probably at least every other month. So, um, I was always kind of counting on them too. And I had to turn Dave down a couple times, or at least once, because I was like, dude, I'm too busy. Like I already said yes to these other things. If he needed one like next week, I'm like, there's no possible way I can do it because I'm out of town for a convention and I have to get this other cover done. And I even asked him, I was like, can we sign a contract? That way I would know that we could plan these things ahead of time. But that's just not something they offer. So it's something that, I just have to say yes or no to when the opportunity comes up.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I mean, look, you know what is you're in demand, and that's what it is,
Hmm.
and the marketplace determines what you're worth.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm worth as a ad space on my show
Hmm.
to the cent. I know exactly what I bring. And so if people want to advertise with me, they're like, your views don't reflect what you bring. And I'm like, but that's not what the marketplace told me with
Hmm.
my last company that was advertising with me.
Hmm.
And so you can not want to advertise with me, but guess what? I know what I bring to the table. I know what I
Hmm.
brought to a company that was doing those live reads last year.
Hmm.
96 of them, I brought a boatload of money to them.
Hmm.
I charged way too little is the problem. Way too little. I should have
Well,
been
it's a mistake that you realize you made. So
I didn't know how good I was. That was the problem.
I feel like I'm still in that boat, like where I would underprice myself, and like I had one business tell me like, don't sell yourself short. Like, you can charge more. And like, this is the business I'm working with. They're like, I'm like, okay. So I started going up and up until eventually they're like, okay, let's maybe go down a little bit more. So they definitely helped me out with that.
No. The result I got for that company was unprecedented,
Hmm.
and it was truly amazing. But I digress. I digress. A lot of stuff's going on. You got a lot of stuff going on.
Hmm.
Obviously, you got stuff with Merc. You got stuff with Zenescope. Hopefully, you're gonna get Dynamite. I don't know if you're gonna pick up some indie work at some point, somebody
Hmm.
can catch you. Because let's be realistic. I mean, I had Greg Watson mentioned him a bunch in this interview. He's booked, and I think he said it openly. He's really booked all the way till June.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear for him. I did a
Past
couple indie things this year. I did. There was one called Nira that I did. That was for a guy. He runs
who's booked?
Committed Comics. It
Yeah,
was
well,
Committed Comics. I forget the guy's name.
Committed
Um,
Comics. Why do I know Committed Comics? So
I'm not. He bought the rights to this character Nira X. It was a comic back in the '90s. And then I did another.
why do I know Committed
Um,
Comics? Like this name is sounds so familiar. Got me now thinking. But anyway, continue.
I was gonna say I did another cover. It was an exclusive cover for Committed. No, wait, that's what I just said. There was another one that started with a C. Stadium Comics. They're based in Canada, and I did a Red Sonja versus Vampirella for them.
I know that cover. I know that cover.
That one just came out a couple months ago or a month or two ago. But
I like them.
like,
I like them a lot. They do some exclusives.
yeah,
They
he
do a
was
lot.
great to work with. It
They,
was a Hulk 131 homage that I did, but
yeah. I know the cover. Did they do a medal of that too or no?
I'm not sure. I didn't get any medals in my comps. I think it was just the regular, so I'm not sure if they did or not.
No, they're just a cool company because they do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like they do a lot of Archie metal covers.
Oh, really?
It's awesome. It's like the two things that should never exist.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they're like limited to 50 only, which is
Oh my
super
god.
cool. They're like $45. It's really
Yeah.
a brilliant concept. I mean, and they're fun covers. They're cool covers.
Uh-huh.
They're exclusive. Brilliant. But that's good. That's good. I mean, it's a Canadian company, and they're a good company.
Yeah, he was great to work. I definitely hope to work with him again.
And so obviously you got a lot of stuff going on, and I want to just give you a chance to self promote yourself before plug everything and all that fun stuff. So obviously, with the people, what's coming out, what's not coming out. Are you on the latest? What is it? Angels and Guns with Sean's Legends.
No, I haven't done anything for Legends yet. I'd like to if someone asked me, but like right now I'm busy enough, so I'm not really like asking anyone for work. But like if anyone wants to come to me, like I'm always down to.
The answer is not no. The answer is
the answer no, definitely not no. I don't think I've really ever turned anything down. It's just I'm at a point now where if anyone came to me for work, I have to be like, okay, well, I can't start on it for a few more weeks. When it gets to a point where I'm like, oh, I have nothing going on, like I'll start reaching out to people, but I usually know something's going to come in.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What is your turnaround time? Because the reason why I asked this is that I may or may not be doing a project sometime in August, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm doing a project in August, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to reach out to somebody in May. I'm going to reach out to somebody in February. Mm-hmm. And here's my rationale of saying, look, I want to book you now. I don't need it till July, but I'll pay you today because there's reasons. Or better yet, I might launch something in June of 2024, but I'll pay you in November because there's tax reasons why I might do that. So you get why I'm asking.
Yeah, and then that's really appreciated because that also gives the artist time for revisions in case like something comes up.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the idea that if I know you're super busy and I know, but I give you 8 months of a deadline, now this is getting creative, right? And this is what I think a lot of people don't understand when they're booking covers is that the more time I give you and the longer window I give you, the more likely I think you're going to say yes because you're like, well, I got this Zenescope thing. Andrew doesn't need his cover till June. And I got these 3 Zenescope things. And you know what is, I have a good relationship. And if I don't work on Andrew's book till February and I get this Dave Franchini cover out for Dave from Zenescope first, Andrew doesn't know anything better. He doesn't care. And now all of a sudden you can juggle it because you have a longer window.
Yeah, like the only reason I've ever said no to a project was because I didn't have enough time to do it. So yeah, if you're giving me that much time, like I don't need that much time. It take like turnaround time. I like to give myself like about a week or so to do a cover. If I'm doing like full background with everything, like it takes me about a week if I can really spend every single day on it. Um, so basically, within those few months, I can just find the time to do those covers. So yeah, 8 months is like way overkill for me. But like I would
There's a
need maybe like
rationale. There's a
yeah,
rationale.
exactly. You can give me at least like a something to think about for sure.
Because again, my whole thing is, and what I'm trying to do for this show is very similar to covers, where I want to book people, and I
Mhm,
booked people in April. I booked somebody in July already,
mhm.
and I mean we're talking 7 months in December.
Yeah.
So, but people don't understand is that the more I'm booked, the more I then can be picky,
Mhm.
and the less stress I have because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, and why I'm doing it.
Mhm.
And guess what? It changes the way I operate, and it's absolutely wonderful in that regard. But I digress. Where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, buy your books, buy all your comps, all that fun stuff? If you have that book of, the sketch cover, definitely
Mhm.
hit me up. Or if you have those swimsuit edition stuff, because you've done a bunch of stuff that's fun. Whatever you
Yeah.
got.
So social media is um, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Everything is just tristarr.art. So tristarr with two R's, period, ART. If you search that, like all my social media comes up. It's pretty much all under the same name. I think Twitter might be an underscore instead of a period because you can't have periods in Twitter names. But TriStar Art, everything there. Even my website is just tristar.art. So instead of like .com, it's .art. Um, but just put that in, and like I try and keep my website pretty up to date on my products. So any cover I've done that I have my own copies of is all for sale on my website, and I ship everything signed. I try and ship it like that day or the next day. So you should have it within like a few days after that. But I try and keep it up to date with everything that comes in that I've done. So yeah, my website, Instagram, Facebook, probably the biggest ones.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say it that you have to support indie, or what that means, or comics in general.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is you have to read comics,
Mm-hmm.
B, you got to buy comics. You actually have to support Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go buy things from people's stores, their direct stores, or that company's stores. You got to share it out on social media, all that fun stuff, because this is how it grows. This is how it
Mm-hmm.
gets supported. And well, you got to support artists too.
Yeah.
And you got to support writers and everybody involved in the project, because
Yeah.
without money, this doesn't work. And the best way how to support people is by buying their stuff
Mm-hmm.
and sharing their stuff out and following them on social media. Goes a long way.
It
And so I
does.
really, really recommend supporting. And even if you just buy a digital copy of a book, it goes
Mm-hmm.
a long way, and you'd be surprised. It goes a long way. So keep that in mind, everybody. As far as I'm concerned about promoting myself, I'll do it really quickly. All my social media is down below. It's Pop Anime Comics on Twitter. Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. Facebook is Pop Anime Comics. YouTube is Pop Anime Comics. And you can support me in a lot of ways. First and foremost, definitely share out the interview. That means the world to me in so many ways, because I want people to actually see this. I want people to interact. I want people to know who I am, who my guests are, and I also think it'll bring joy to people. Secondly, you should be following me on social media. That also means a lot to me. And I really appreciate Twitter followers, Facebook likes, Instagram. It's all free. So please go do that. I do have Buy Me a Coffee. So definitely, if you feel entitled to, you feel value, buy me a coffee. It's not required. It's just a nice gesture if you feel so gracious enough to do it. If not, no worries. But I expect a share at the very least. And then thirdly or fourthly, I do have t-shirts and I have some other stuff coming out, and I have a comic book investing class hopefully coming out sometime this year. So that's another thing too, is that if you want to learn something and somebody has a class like I'm going to be building, definitely check out that class, because all that stuff matters. But enough about me promoting myself. I am going to give you the final word. So
I really appreciate you having me. it just shows that, people are interested in artists and what we do, and writers as well. The creatives in general, like, it's just really appreciated that people are interested in like how we come up with stuff and the journey we take to get here, and like all the hard work that goes into it, and like the amount of sacrifice it takes, and like the amount of studying and work in general. But you're promoting us, you're promoting the work we do and the livelihoods, so it's greatly appreciated. And thank you everyone for checking it out and like looking at my stuff and buying comics and supporting the industry. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't think I could have said that any better myself. So that is a wrap, everybody.
Thank you.